Welcome to the Digital Dojo monthly podcast Christmas special here in Life Ranch, where we discuss the hot digital marketing tips for your business each month with myself, David,
and me, Cooper. We may not always be formal, but we're always real and authentic and adhere to the Bushido Samurai Code.
Righteousness, loyalty, honour, respect, honesty, courage, consistency.
How do you learn that?
I read it off the thing I've wrote up there.
Oh, I didn't see that. You told me to learn the words.
Right, let's kick it off, shall we? Second episode, but I'm going to say, as usual, we're going to start off with some useful digital marketing news and updates, what's going on in the world of digital marketing this month. Then we're going to our deep dive topic, and this month we're going to be talking podcasting for business with Ed from Media Insiders.
Hello.
There we go, our special guest. And then we finally finish off with the useful tool of the month, mixed intrinsically with our usual rubbish, banter, nonsense, and whatever's going on in the world. So let's...
Like the fact that I'm wearing two pairs of glasses.
Could you actually see?
Well, I have to have these ones on to see, and these ones are for comic effect.
Okay, you have to have them on for comic effect. Right, let's kick off with some industry news then. What's going on in the world at the moment? One minor topic, which isn't that exciting, but it's something to talk about, is Facebook have now changed on your business page. You can set up a founding date or a birthday for your business. So, you know, on LinkedIn, where if you're ever on LinkedIn, you get a notification, oh, it's been 3 years since you've been in business, and you get loads of people hit that spam message that you get to you saying, congratulations. Yeah, so Facebook have done that now.
Is this digital ditties?
Yeah.
Well, you need to let me do my catchphrase.
I didn't know you got a catchphrase for digital.
Yeah,
right, let's start that part again. Cooper's got a catchphrase for digital ditties.
Beep, diddy, beep, beep. It's digital ditties.
Why did you have to read the part that said beep, diddy, bip, bip, and then look up and know the rest?
All right, let's do it again then. Okay. You didn't hit your gong.
Oh, yeah? Right. Go on then.
Beep, diddy, beep, beep. It's digital ditties.
Right. As I was saying, yeah, Facebook, you can now add a founding date. That's digital ditties over. No, not really. Yeah, you can add a founding date or a birthday date for your business page now. Not that exciting, but something worth doing because it just gives that extra little publicity when people see on there, oh, it's your birthday or something like that. The next bit of news is, which is sort of following from last month's, we spoke about TikTok and now they're talking about banning it. Well, they went to court and they have been issued some things they have to do, else they're going to be banned by January the 19th in America.
You were ahead of the curve on that one. You knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is they've got a choice of three things, which is, because it's a company called ByteDance, which owns TikTok, which is a Chinese company. So they can either sell TikTok to a company that can then be probably American owned and funded by the government to do what they want, or they can appeal the ban, or they can face the ban where they're just gone. Yeah, that was it. So
right, this is the time to strike. We need to create an app called TokTik.
Yeah,
right now. And let's get on it after this.
You invent some new TokTik dances then.
A TokTik dance.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'll do it. Here we go.
There we go. The first dance on TokTik. Boop 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 boop. Coop can do his beep diddy beep.
Yeah, do it. Lovely.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So TikTok might be banned in America by January 19th. What they're going to do, and it's literally just because China owns TikTok. America do say, like I alluded to last time, that it's because they can get into all your data and everything, but so can everybody else. I think it's mainly just because America can't control what they're showing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there we go.
Good.
So that was our...
Beep, diddy, beep, beep. Digital ditties.
There we go.
No script that time. Did you see that?
I know, yeah, he's learnt it off by heart and everything.
I've got 6 of these to do today, so I was
I love how you've spent a lot of time. I've been here researching what's going on in the news, or you've been
come up with
researching the entertainment, which is good actually. Kudos for that.
You'll like my next one.
I can't wait.
But not a lot.
What in fact, what's coming up?
Well, next up we've got the deep dive.
Okay, so that's like, ooh, it's a bit wet. The deep dive.
It's a bit wet.
Deep dive.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't use the other uncommon word for wet anyway. So, on the deep dive topic this month, we have got special guest Ed Nell from the Media Insiders. We're going to be talking about podcasting for business, how it can affect your business, what the benefits are, and Ed's background. So, Ed, do you want to tell us a bit about your business and how it came to light, and then we can move on to the useful information?
Of course. I mean, I suppose really I'm a radio presenter by trade. That's kind of what I spent most of my career doing, probably 20 years. I'm so old, oh my God.
Yeah, you might recognise his voice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got one of those generic radio voices. Everyone goes, I know you from somewhere. No, I just sound like every other radio presenter.
Like a wedding DJ voice.
Yeah. Go on, get on the dance floor. Here's Puppy Love.
Scream if you want to go louder.
So I've kind of done every kind of radio show you can ever imagine, like breakfast shows, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, on air at 6, pretending that you're really happy when actually you're just really tired and you want to go back to bed. Like music shows, talk shows, interview shows. Probably interviewed well over like 8,000 people over like a 20-year career, from like pop stars like One Direction to prime ministers, and everything in between. So yeah, all sorts of stuff.
So what radios were you on at the time?
So I suppose I've moved all around the country really, I guess. So in this area, across the Midlands, BBC Radio WM, CWR, Shropshire, Stoke, Nottingham, all the BBC stations basically. Before that I was doing like free radio as it was. It's now rebranded to Hits Radio. But then before that, when I was on it, it was Beacon Radio and BRMB back in the day. And then I've worked in Sheffield, in Guernsey, in the Channel Islands, in Norfolk, wherever they have me basically.
You've done it all.
I've been all over, all the exotic places.
Brilliant. I've just had... So you are a radio star.
Yeah.
And Cooper works in video. So, if Cooper bonked you on the head right now, we could literally say, video killed the radio star. But let's not do that. That would be the best thing to do on our second episode for our very special...
For the Christmas special.
Yeah.
We kill it.
It's on camera as well, just so anybody knows. All right.
Yeah. Cool. So that's led you to what you're doing now. So you want to tell us a bit about that?
Well, so the Media Insiders kind of started initially because when I was working on the BBC, I couldn't believe how many people were getting so much exposure through the BBC, because they will say you can't advertise in the BBC.
Yeah.
But actually, as long as you're adding value to the audience, you can come on as a business and talk about your business really openly and like say your business name and say, oh, I do this and I do that, because you're helping the audience.
Yeah.
And actually, I think a lot of people think it's a closed shop, the media, but as long as you know what buttons to push, you can get loads of exposure for your business, become that kind of go-to expert.
Yeah.
So I started doing like media training courses. But every media training course, people go, do you know, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Do you do podcasts? I'm like, I don't, but I know someone who does. That's fine. Yeah. And then it got to the stage going, I should do podcasts. Everyone keeps asking me about podcasts. I'll do podcasts. So it sort of went from there. And it's kind of, how I look at it is, you've got the top level podcast, like the Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, that kind of thing, where they're getting ridiculous numbers and they're monetizing it and they're making crazy amounts
Joe
of money.
Rogans of the world.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of like $1 billion podcast industry. Whereas the podcasts I'm producing, they're more specialist, they're nicher than those. And it's really about kind of cultivating that visibility and trust for business owners. So you'll put it on your website and people will land, they find you through Google and they go, how do I know this person actually knows what they're talking about? I can click on a podcast and I can listen to them and go, actually, this is my kind of person. This is the person I want to work with. I trust them. I feel like I know them a little bit more now. So it's not about the big numbers. It's just about kind of increasing that next level trust, I guess.
And that sort of relates to what we talk about in websites. So like quite often what I'll say to a lot of users is the biggest trend over the past probably 3 years has been humanising a website. Because you go on a website now and if it's all stock imagery and just standard AI written text, you don't know if it's somebody in China trying to sell you something. You don't know if it's some guy in his working from his back room acting bigger than they are. You just don't trust it. But if you see pictures of a human, an approachable element, instantly, subliminally it breaks down that trust barrier. You don't even think about it, but subliminally you go, oh, I can trust this company. Look, oh, there's a Meet the Team. That's real people. That's their offices. That's a van with their logo on. Whatever the kind of business.
They're only down the road.
And it's subliminal that happens. And I suppose it's the next level of that, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I guess it is really, yeah. I think hearing someone's voice, you can get a really good feel for who that person is. I mean, obviously, you know, Coops, you'll make videos for that as well, and that's great for people too, to be able to have that video on their homepage and see that person. But I think sometimes the people, they go, I could cope with hearing my voice, but I can't cope with seeing my face as well. Yeah. So it's sort of that different thing of what am I comfortable with in terms of putting myself out there. And it might be that they go video and go, let's put that on the website. Or they might go as well, I think also video and audio, there are differences in budget and it's what you can afford, what you're comfortable with, what style you want, whether you've got a product that you can demonstrate or it's more of a service as well.
But also you can't always put a video out every single week.
That's a lot of content.
Whereas a podcast, you could probably film 4 or 5 and have a back backlog of them, and
Yeah, completely that. And I try and do that with business owners because it's also about if someone's really desperate to do a podcast, there's actually a lot of time involved, as I'm sure you know from doing your own with Digital Dojo. But it's that thing of going, I'll take the pain away from you a little bit. So not only will I help you conceive the idea for it and build the format, get the branding right, find the music, do the scripting, I help you record it. I can advise you on guests and how to structure an episode.
And if you need someone to write jingles now,
we've got some.
Yeah, there we go.
Beep 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 pop pop beep pop pop. So yeah, we've got a jingle machine. I can produce the podcast. What do you bring to the party, Dave?
Christmas hats.
There you go. That's fine. We've got the Christmas hats as well. So yeah, I can kind of just take the pain part. So you can do the fun bit of actually recording.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I do all the rest basically.
Brilliant. So, give us an example of a business then that you may have worked with, or how a business has used a podcast effectively, or maybe a few examples for different kinds.
So we've got loads of a very varied client base. So for example, I work with a kitchen designer, and you might think that would be a really visual side of things, and I think she is going into video podcasts. That's her next thing. But she started with audio, and I think part of that was to build up her confidence and go, actually, so I said to her, what do you want to achieve from this podcast? And actually for her it was, yes, I want to connect with my audience and get them to go use your services. But also it's about getting out and about in the industry, because she's quite relatively young in the industry. So you go, I want to meet loads of people who are big in the industry and get my visibility.
So then she can invite people on.
Yeah, and get them as guests.
Oh yeah, and then that's giving that publicity. So that's an added benefit, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you want to get in. And I mean, one of the things that we're looking at doing as well is swapping out the deep dive every so often for like a client spotlight. So getting our clients in to discuss. So it's kind of a combo of that today as well, isn't it, really?
Well, I've got a jingle for that.
Oh,
all right, then, let's do it.
Shining bright, it's our client spotlight.
Beautiful. Absolute gold.
There we go. That's the other thing I could bring, Christmas hats and a gong.
It's got it all going on, I tell you.
Cool, yeah, that makes sense. So one thing that you mentioned is, and I know you come across this a lot, is people don't like to be on video. You know, like, because obviously we say to people, oh, you know, you could do the video on your homepage. Oh, no, I don't want to be on video.
I've never had someone that said that I want to be on video but don't want to use my voice and had to do a silent movie.
That would be amazing.
Like Charlie Chaplin.
Chaplin style.
That'd be brilliant. That's the next video we should do.
Yeah.
Right, this part we're going to cut. It's going to go completely black and white, and you're going to see everything else now in subtitles below. So people's voices, do you find people they're happy to go, actually, yeah, I'll...
There is definitely still a barrier because, of course, your voice sounds different in your head.
It always does, doesn't it?
How, when you hear it recorded, you're like, is that really how I speak?
Yeah.
And when the first few podcasts I record with people, and I'll edit them as the best I can, and I'll send them back to them for approval, and they'll be like, oh. And, of course, you notice more stuff about yourself. So it's like, I've said obviously loads of times there. Everyone's got a filler word, haven't they?
You know what I notice a lot, and I need to cut out, is I go, a lot.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah. I think from now on, every time I do in this, I should donate to charity £1.
But you'll notice your own, when you're editing this later, you'll notice your a lot more than we notice you doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is, and people really struggle with that. Not only do they notice their filler words, they notice when they're saying but actually they say to me, take all these bits out. You then won't sound like a human being, so you need to leave a bit of that in as well. Yes. But then hearing their voice back for the first time, you're like, that's a real barrier of, oh no, I sound terrible, I can't listen to
Why
myself.
Have you turned the pitch up? I haven't.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. That's not my voice. So that can be a barrier.
Yeah.
But I think once people get over that, they're absolutely fine. And I think you can really see the confidence grow from episode to episode. So it's good.
So you're saying you've done like a kitchen designer. Any other examples?
Yes, I mean, I suppose the big one for me at the moment is service providers, so sort of business coaches or consultants, because they don't have that product where they can go, oh, look, here's what I made.
Yeah, it's
more about knowledge and
driven.
service or structure or kind of, techniques and things like that. So actually having a podcast to be able to explain not only what they do and how they deliver it, so people can get a feel for them, but also whether there's value in it for their business.
Well, I suppose as well, it establishes you. I mean, again, I can only relate to what we talk about with website side of things. When we say adding a blog, obviously one of the benefits is for Google SEO ranking, because you're continuously coming back and Google send out its bots and go, oh, something new, and they read your website and read the latest blog article and use the keywords from it and so on. But ongoing, it also, the added benefit of it is that it establishes you as a sort of leader in your industry. So you're talking about what's going on, giving out latest news, and people will come to that to say, oh, actually, these guys have got a blog. They know what's going on. They're on the forefront, and they've got this latest news going on, and so on. So yeah, and again, subliminally almost, it sort of establishes you as that knowledge within your remit and your service. So again, I suppose inflector that it's exactly the same sort of thing, but on again next level, because you are literally.
Oh, completely that, and that's a big thing. And I think you made the point as well about getting current clients on as well, and understanding what you've done for them, because it's like a great testimonial, isn't it? Basically, and then once you've built up that sort of backstory, that social proof, maybe of 10 or so episodes, you actually go, well, who are my dream clients? Could I invite them on my podcast? Because actually, trying to book a call with somebody, they go, oh, they're going to sell to me. I don't really want that. Yeah. But actually, if you say, look, I'd like to, could you come on podcast and tell me how brilliant your business is? Most people are going to go, I really do like talking about myself. I'll definitely come on. I've been done. Can you believe it? So that's a good way. And then you can build that relationship from there. And so it's almost like a networking tool in a way, I suppose, having a podcast.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense in that respect. Anything to add, James? Any questions on podcasts?
Oh no, I was going to mention something about cheese, but you mean on...
Oh, well, I can talk about cheese as well, yeah.
Next up, the cheese. The cheese theme topic.
I haven't got a cheese catchphrase.
No cheese jingles.
Chicka cheese. It's the cheese time.
Okay.
Wow.
That's good.
Sorry, when you said anything to add, I was thinking about cheese and chive cheese, but it's not actually
Glad to know you're in the zone with us here. In the moment.
It's not actually called cheese and chive cheese, it's just chive cheese.
Chive cheese.
And I've only just come to realise that.
Is it? Is there more chive than cheese, or cheese from chive?
If cheese has got chives in it, it's chive cheese. But if you've got crisps that are cheese and chive flavoured, they're cheese and chive flavoured. Cheese and chive. What I'm trying to say is that I always called it cheese and chive cheese, but it's just chive cheese because there's no cheese in cheese.
I think my brain's just exploded.
I know. Who can... More useful information for you from the depths of Cooper's brain.
Sorry about that.
But I think that also brings us on to another topic, is that's a nice lead-in, actually, Cooper. You've set them up, I'll knock them down. With this podcast, what we want to achieve is provide it useful to people. So people are watching because there's useful information that they can take away from their business, take away from...
What's useful about...
Not that.
Cheese chat.
Not so much that. But what I mean is, I want it to be useful and also a bit fun, and you know what I mean, and that it's something that's watchable. Okay, that's the goal of this, as opposed to, because obviously I run In Life and Cooper runs JCFX and we do all that. As opposed to us going, right, this month we're going to sell you this. Our business is so good, and you should use us for this reason. And do you know what I mean? So do you have to find that balance with people, or does it depend on the goal of the podcast?
Yeah, so it all comes back for me to, I think a lot about the strategy, because I think a lot of people get excited about podcasts, and I love that they buy the kit and they start recording, and the stat is 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3, because it's one of those things that...
Well, we're halfway there.
Well, I know, you're nearly there, come on. Because I think people firstly get stuck with the editing and actually all the work behind the scenes, but running out of ideas, content is a hard one, and actually making it so it's of value rather than selling can be hard, because people do want to go on there and go, can I just tell you how brilliant I am, please, and you should definitely buy my product. No, please don't do that. Actually, it's about stories and content and adding value, something that your audience goes, I really enjoyed that, and actually I like these people, and maybe I might want to work with them in the future.
That makes sense. So if somebody wanted to start a podcast for their business or thinking about doing, what sort of route would you give, besides obviously coming direct to yourself to help them go through it all? Are there any sort of tips you can give to get started, or anything to think about? Or
so I think a lot of people jump straight in and go, let me spend loads of money on equipment, and I do some planning first, because actually coming back to what your purpose is, what do you want to achieve with this podcast, and who do you want to be speaking to with your audience, is really useful, because then you can start planning a format that's going to connect with those two things, and then you go, actually, how am I going to record this? So for one thing, you might already have the equipment you need to record it. If it's just an audio only podcast, and you go, actually, I'm just going to record it with someone else, I can do it on my mobile phone.
You see so many people now on Toptic with these videos where they've got the mic plugged in and they're always holding it there.
Totally. You could do it that way.
AirPods or whatever, and holding them to use them as a mic. You see that
rather than spending hundreds of pounds on stuff that's only going to be used once or twice. Make sure it works first.
3 times.
Well, do you know, I say this, I feel like I say this about 20 times a day at the moment when it comes to podcasts, that, you know, you could spend loads of money on the equipment, but if the content's not right, it's basically, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig at the end of the day, isn't it? You know, so don't spend 4 or 5 grand on your podcast equipment when you haven't yet recorded something. Make one, see if it's for you, see where you're going with it, and it might be later down the line you go, do you know, we want to elevate our game a little bit more, so we will invest, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
We invest. We realised how successful our first episode was, so we've invested in some foam for these mics.
Yeah, because in the last episode we kept touching the table, and when you watched it back, it was dunk. You could really hear it quite loud.
And we're going to put next week. This won't rock either, so I won't be holding on to this all episode.
See, this is what I mean. Invest.
And I invested
steadily.
in a gong.
That's it. You've done this right. Don't spend the budget all at once.
That's it. Save some money for gongs down the line.
It's interesting though how you do your podcast, because I think video is becoming such a big part of it, because I think people do think it's just audio only for podcasts.
Oh yeah.
And I went to the podcast show like beginning of the year, and they were saying, look, if you are not doing video for your podcast, you are going to get left behind, which I don't necessarily agree with, because I think it's levels as well about where
I like to listen to me in the car sometimes.
This is it. And I think that's the fine thing about it, that you can just go, I'll record it on my phone and it'll cost me no money apart from my time. Or actually, I think at the moment YouTube is the #1 platform for where people get their podcasts from.
Yeah,
but then, yeah, it's surprising. Spotify second, and iTunes are in third.
I'd have called it iTunes or Spotify.
I would have said that as well. So I was really surprised when I saw those stats. But actually, when you think about it, if you're getting to the stage of doing a video podcast and putting it on YouTube, you are going to spend more time and more budget to make sure it's right. Yeah. So those are going to be your top level quality podcasts. So naturally, they're going to do well, and people are going to find them on YouTube, which is probably why Spotify now have gone, let's go and do video as well, because they're worried about being left behind. So that's they've been doing it since 2020 and offering certain podcasters the opportunity to do video. But now you can do full length. Anyone can. You just got to claim your profile on Spotify, and you can upload a full video podcast and clips that go with it as well.
Yeah, so that's fairly recent, then, isn't
that's
it?
Quite recent, yeah, I would say. And then they will rip the audio from that and push it out to places like Deezer, iTunes, iHeart. Yeah. So you've still got that audio version as well.
So Spotify will they'll put that out for you as well for these.
Yeah, so you actually, because it's quite confusing, because obviously Spotify is not only a podcast platform that you listen to podcasts on, but you can publish your podcast through that. Whereas it used to be Anchor, but then Spotify bought that and took it in house. And then you've got your other places like Podbean and all those. Exactly, those are the platforms that you can, and they'll push it out a little bit like making a book, that you've got your manuscript, send it to a factory, they print it, and then they distribute it to shops. So
I didn't realise Spotify did the additional publication. So would they push it to like Apple iTunes? And
yeah, they do, which is kind of weird, because you kind of go, ooh. But then
that's what
YouTube don't. YouTube want to be a standalone thing, whereas Spotify have kind of got that halfway house a little bit.
See, what I noticed on YouTube when we added this previous video onto there was they've now got a podcast
playlist
section, so you create a podcast playlist, and I'd never saw that before, because obviously I did one on there before, but you can choose podcast and it creates that specialist podcast.
That's something quite recent as well, because they used to have Google Podcasts, and then that died a death probably about 4 or 5 months ago, when YouTube went, do you know what, we're going to get rid of that and we're going to bring it in, and so they merged it all together.
I didn't realise Google had got rid of their podcasting platform as well.
Yeah,
because I just listened to mine on Amazon.
One problem with the video podcast is when that does get pushed out as audio only, somebody goes, look at this lovely little picture of my daughter.
Yeah. You mean like last episode when you said, look at this picture of us as minions?
Yeah, that can be an issue. Yeah. And I think when you're recording, you've got to think
we put this out as audio only sometimes.
Okay, ooh. But that's I think it's just always thinking of the audience.
As long as you're not dwelling on it the entire episode, then
if it's show and tell the whole time, then probably an audio version might not work too well. Yeah,
that makes sense. So so that sort of brings me on to the technology side of things as well. Then, so how?
Hold on, is this a new section?
No.
Oh, we've got a jingle for this. No,
it's not a new section.
That's okay then. Carry on. Let me know when we get to Tool of the Month.
Oh, you carry on thinking about cheese and chive until then. So, so this, in terms of the technology for getting it on, because obviously you get different levels of technophobes straight up to sort of next level. Do you assist with that? Is there any advice besides obviously Spotify we've already mentioned about that? the thought, or when you get to that stage of getting it out there.
Yeah, so it's interesting with the podcast publishing platforms, and that's something I do as well. Or I can teach people how to do it. It's actually not that difficult. I think it can feel quite daunting if you've not done it before, but it's fine to do. You can schedule your podcasts so you can put them on there ages in advance. But I think also it's really important when you're doing that to think about a good title, because not only are you going to push it out to your existing audience on your social media channels, but you also want those organic listeners who are going to discover you on these platforms. So actually doing things like the right show notes or the right title is almost a little bit like SEO for podcasts in a way.
Yeah,
It definitely
makes sense.
is.
Yeah, so because you can put keywords and things on there as well,
Yeah.
can't you, in the description, so it's when people are looking for that.
But I would say it's interesting now as a lot of these publishing platforms, they've just get to the stage. They used to have free versions, so you're very limited as to what you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to use Acast a lot. That was the main publishing platform that I'd use. But I just signed a client up just the other day, and you've got to put your credit card details in when you do it. But then they didn't tell me at the beginning, which I said, I didn't notice it probably. They said, oh yes, by the way, on the free platform now, you can only publish 5 episodes, and then after that you have to start paying. Yeah. Whereas before it was unlimited. Yeah. So they're definitely cracking down, and that free window is getting smaller and smaller.
So with Spotify, do you have to have a paid account with them?
Yeah, you do. And so and that's the thing again, you've got to work out whether it's worthwhile. And again, starting on a free platform doesn't limit you because you could do that easily.
Sorry, would it link in? So if you pay for Spotify to listen to Spotify, does it link with that? Or is it
I think it does.
entity?
Do you know, I don't actually use Spotify myself to publish podcasts, but I manage a podcast that's published on Spotify, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yeah.
So they were already existing podcasts that I've taken over.
Yeah.
And so they've just given me the account details to do it.
Yeah.
So I don't actually have a Spotify account myself, so I don't know a huge amount, but I publish this podcast on it.
Yeah.
So it's a funny place, but I would say start with a free platform again.
Yeah.
Because you can always either upgrade, because they'll desperately always find a way to take your money, or you can move your show, because you can easily do that to a different platform. If you go, I've outgrown this one, I need to be somewhere else now. So that would work.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So what we'll do now is we'll have a quick interlude and talk about our competition. Ooh. The big Christmas giveaway. So, have you ever got a jingle for competition?
I don't have a jingle for competition. Let me make a note. Hold on.
Can you just come up with something off the cuff, or just no?
Well, I came up with all. It's a bit wet, deep dive off the cuff, and I got told off for that one. I used the word moist to begin with.
Oh, I didn't think we were going to say that word.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get away with it.
Competition jingle.
Competition jingle.
Yeah, there we go. Write it down for next time.
Question mark.
Yeah. So the competition we've got this month is a nice, easy one. All you have to do is like the video and subscribe. And we will also include all those that subscribed last month as well. So if you liked it and subscribed, by the next episode, we're going to have a big spinny wheel that our friend Carl's going to bring in, like a wheel of fortune. Try and put all the names around there, if we can fit them all on. Hopefully we can't fit them all on because we get that many. But if there's like 3, it'll be dead easy. Then spin the wheel and see who's won that. And you're going to win a... Look at that. Digital Dojo hoodie.
As I've been a guest on this podcast, in your T's and C's, can I still enter?
Yeah.
I can enter the competition. Yeah. Yes.
That way we don't have to give you one.
And you'll also get a little in-life beanie hat. And these were created by our good friend Lee at White Lodge. So if you are looking for any clothing, high quality print or stitching, check them out. So if you'd like to win those, please like and subscribe. Really easy to do. Just pop a little like on the video, hit the big red button, hit the bell as well so you get a notification, and then we'll accumulate them all and spin the wheel in the next episode.
If you collect your prize in person, I will also sign a part of your body and you can get it tattooed.
There we go. It'll write a jingle just for you. And as part of that, we have got a little gift for you, Ed. We've got your little beanie.
Oh, yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Get rid of this. Forget Christmas.
Christmas is over.
Oh, look at this. It's amazing.
He looks like the baddie from Home Alone now.
Which one? Joe Pesci? Yeah. Oh, come on.
Well, then you obviously look like the other bloody one of the wet bandits, don't you?
We're the sticky bandits, so we're the wet bandits. I don't know anymore.
And that would make me Kevin. There we go. So competition coming up next month. Check it out. Let's move finally on now to...
Ooh, fancy that. Tool of the month.
Tool of the month. And we thought we'd theme it this month on podcast, a useful tool for that. Obviously, Ed's also mentioned a really other useful tool. If you do already have a Spotify account, or I didn't know you could use Spotify now to publish out to all these other platforms, so that's one worth checking out. The other one we're going to mention is the one that we use for getting online, which is called Buzzsprout. Now, Buzzsprout is free for if you're having 2 hours a month. So if you're using more than 2 hours a month, you have to go onto their Play platform. Like you were saying, they start charging for these things. And the annoying thing with that is that the free platform, the podcasts are only stored online for 90 days. So then they come off. But the next platform the next level up is only $12 a month. And with that, it stayed on forever. You get obviously more than 2 hours a month. And also it's got like a thing that will sort out your audio as well and make it sound nicer.
Makes it sound lovely.
Yeah, so it does like
a compression or something like that.
I don't know what it does.
It's
got this
magic tool.
It's called something like Magic Audio, where it goes through your audio and like sorts it all out.
What's also good about Buzzsprout is you can create social media content from it. So you can take snippets of a podcast and it'll put a little picture and a little waveform and you can push that out to your social channels.
Oh, that's quite good. Yeah, I've got that on Acast as well. So they do like audiograms and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that bolt-on integration, isn't it?
And I do like the analytics you can view as well, so you can see like how many people have listened, what platforms listen.
Platform listen to
12 people in Russia listened to my podcast last week. Can you believe it?
Really
Great. I'm massive in Russia.
Well, make sure you don't get thrown out of a window.
Oh no.
Boy, a videographer.
There's a lot of talk of offing Ed in this podcast.
I know what's going on.
He's not going to get
Just basically coming to be murdered.
We don't attempt to assassinate all our guests, honest. But yeah, that was the tool of the month. Check out Buzzsprout, it's buzzsprout.com. Also check out Spotify as well if you want to get some podcasts out and about. So have we got any closing comments, guys? Merry Christmas, anything like that?
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
God
That was a
bless
very
us.
sad Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Is this going out on Christmas Day after the Queen's speech? King's speech.
Oh, whoa, what's happened?
Yeah, I hope she's not giving us a speech.
That would be some speech.
We could do actually, couldn't we? It'll be out. We normally put it out the first Tuesday of every month,
Which will be.
but I think we put this out around Christmas, maybe Christmas Day, is when everybody's bored and enough for the families they can sit and watch us gabble on.
Oh, Christmas Eve is the last Tuesday of this month, so that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. The last Tuesday.
No, hang on. Hang on. Yeah, just do that.
Just
yeah,
do that.
there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Ed.
I've loved it. Thanks for having me.
And we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we hope you enjoy some nice cheese and chive cheese over the festive holidays.
Cheesy cheese chives.
And as I always say, have a great digital dojo day.